Hi guys, welcome back to Gwayne Sailing. The first thing we did after crossing the Atlantic from the Bahamas was to fill up with fuel at Pickle Rick's in West Palm Beach, Florida. This floating fuel boat in Lake Worth is super convenient for all types of boats to pull up next to and fill up with either gas or diesel. We had seen it driving around the area and thought it would be fun to do instead of filling up at a marina. And the gas prices here weren't bad at all. While in Florida, we needed to stop at a few marine supply and auto parts stores to pick up replacement parts for our boat, which we had used while in the Bahamas. We celebrated our successful ocean crossing at a fun bar with a cool diorama of a typical Florida beach scene within the bar top, and we took a picture with our fun bartender before leaving. After catching movie night in the park, Gwayne did karaoke at the sailing club in front of our anchorage. We paid a small daily fee here to use their dinghy dock, garbage cans, and showers, and to eat and drink in the restaurant. Bill and Marcia joined us for dinner at a local Mediterranean restaurant, which had the bonus of a belly dancer performing that evening. After church on Father's Day, we stopped for brunch and then toured the Henry Flagler Museum. We learned a lot of history about Henry Flagler while touring his exquisite mansion. He designed the first ever oversea railroad from Jacksonville, Florida to Key West, and constructed many grand hotels and buildings along the way in his very recognizable architecture style. He was in the same league of wealthy people at that time, like the Carnegies and the Rockefellers. While we were anchored in West Palm Beach, Wayne took the time to work on some boat projects, and I headed to the laundromat to do some laundry. We saw a great comedy show in Fort Lauderdale, then made our way north to Fort Pierce. We took our dinghy over to the Navy SEAL Museum to enjoy the air-conditioned exhibits, and then stopped at Little Jim's Fish Camp on the river to listen to some live music, as the teenagers jumping from a nearby bridge entertained us. We ended the evening with some great sunsets. In the morning, we followed the fishing boats out to the ocean and continued north to our next destination. Most days, Wayne also did some fishing along the way and caught quite a few fish. We would see many dolphins and pelicans as we came in and out of our anchorages. This is something that we didn't get to see much in the Bahamas. Our next stop was in Cape Canaveral, where the 7 cruise ship terminals made for a very stressful navigation in the channel. We could see a few of the NASA buildings from the ocean. This is where they've been shooting off the SpaceX and Starlink rocket launches that we saw in our last video. We got great pictures of one of the launches while we were at anchor one evening in Ponce Inlet in New Smyrna Beach, right by this cool lighthouse. Our next stop was in St. Augustine, which we had already been to on our journey south, but wanted to go back and visit a few places that we hadn't seen yet. We loved anchoring in front of the old fort for a second time, and the sunsets here are especially good. We took a dinghy ride to explore areas away from the downtown and ended up at Villarno Beach, a small oceanfront town with a 1950s retro vibe. Wayne and I headed to the beach to get some sun. Then we went to downtown St. Augustine to explore all the happy hour options. We were able to meet up with our friends Kit and Alexis a few times while we were here. We also toured the San Sebastian Winery, played mini golf, and had some yummy ice cream. Our next destination was Fernandina Beach in Amelia Island. Coming into their harbor, we saw another fort and this cool paper factory that looked like an amusement park from our view in the water. While in Amelia Island, we stopped at the famous Palace Saloon, built in the early 1900s, and tried their famous pirate punch. We rode our bikes to explore the downtown area that had a fountain, a house with a merry-go-round on the front porch, and a cool old cemetery. We toured the Museum of History, which was converted from an old jail building, and had drinks on the beach at the Amelia Island Sandbar, where we listened to live music as the waves were crashing in. Our next evening was spent in the Bradley River, where we were anchored next to a shrimp boat that had about 20 dolphins swimming around it. We watched them as we watched an evening storm approach, which made for a great sunset that night. Our next stop was in Savannah. We got a great spot on the cheap city dock in front of all the historic buildings and tour boats giving river cruises. Neither of us has been to Savannah before, and we had fun spending a few days exploring the town. We enjoyed the old architecture and cobblestone streets along the waterfront. The historic brick buildings here were built on many different levels, with narrow alleyways between them. We saw the famous Waving Girl statue, who honored the girl who greeted all sailors as their ships came into port back in the late 1800s. Savannah is supposedly the most haunted city in America, and we did a ghost tour of some of those houses, like this one with these creepy old dolls. We went to the Grave Face Museum, which had an interesting collection of freaks, oddities, and curiosities from old carnival sideshows around the world. They also had a display of belongings from famous serial killers such as Gacy, Dahmer, Manson, Gein, and David Koresh. They even had the actual ice skate used in the Tonya Harding incident. Because of the summer heat, we tried to stay in the air conditioning as much as we could. So we did a city bus tour run by the local improv group, where we learned only about 5% of the history of Savannah. The other 95% was a great comedy show put on by our tour guides, who were a lot of fun. We even got to stop halfway through the tour for drinks and were able to bring them back on the bus with us as we continued. We ate some seafood, had an empanada snack, a delicious dim sum dinner, and enjoyed the artwork in the lobbies of the historic hotels. We stopped at a rooftop bar that overlooked our boat and watched as tour boats and container ships passed by our tiny boat. The container ships would pass by us hourly, it seemed, and their wake would always rock our boat. At one bar we visited, $2 shots were offered every time a cargo ship passed by, which made us despise those boats a little less each time. After all that drinking, we went to the Prohibition Museum to learn more about the history of Prohibition. At the end of the museum is a speakeasy where you can enter if you know the password. We walked around and explored the many public parks in the neighborhood, which were laid out every few blocks with monuments in the middle, and enjoyed the trees blooming with flowers. We took a pedicab to the largest park called Forsyth Park and walked around the moss-covered, live oak, tree-lined squares to learn more about the history of Savannah. One of the restaurants we visited had the Guinness Book of World Records World's Longest Shot Ski, which was disassembled and hung on their ceiling. We drank some coconut water from a man selling them from the back of his car and did a very interesting tour of the Savannah College of Art and Design, which was free, and I highly recommend it. Our friends Kit and Alexis were also in Savannah at the same time and joined us for dinner a few nights. We moved our boat over to their marina after a few days, which helped to cut down on the big waves hitting us from passing boats in the river. It was just a short 5-minute dinghy ride from this new marina across the river over to downtown. Savannah also has a cool cable-stayed bridge, just like Charleston's, and we were able to get some great sunset pictures from the marina. We ended our stay in Georgia on the 4th of July weekend. We lit up our boat with red, white, and blue lights and enjoyed the fireworks being shot off across the river from the dock of our marina. Well, that's it for now. Join us next time to see where our adventures take us next, as we head north for hurricane season and spend the summer traveling through both South and North Carolina up to the Chesapeake Bay. If you're enjoying these videos, please like and subscribe to this YouTube channel. Thanks for watching. Bye guys.